Look at the sprawling, immaculate estates in Denton County, Texas. This is Aubrey, widely recognized today as the Equestrian Capital of Texas. It is a landscape defined by elite, multi-million-dollar horse ranches. You might assume a place with this much concentrated wealth and infrastructure was carefully planned from the start. In reality, Aubrey began as a turbulent, disaster-prone railroad stop on the Texas frontier. To understand how Aubrey survived 150 years of frontier volatility, you have to look at how the community's relationship with the local soil dictated its trajectory. In 1867, a Civil War veteran named Lemuel Noah Edwards arrived in the area. He set a strict tone for the early settlement by enforcing a rigid moral code. He explicitly banned dancing, though he did encourage his neighbors to gather at his home to listen to organ music. 14 years later, the Texas and Pacific Railway laid tracks through the area. The company designated the new stop with the corporate name Onega. The locals hated the name. To get their post office registered, they wrote down alternative names, tossed them into a hat, and pulled out Aubrey. The newly minted town immediately faced steep odds. A series of devastating fires ripped through the original wooden storefronts that lined the downtown dirt roads. Rather than rebuilding on the exact same vulnerable spot, the merchants made a pragmatic choice. They packed up and moved the entire business district to higher ground, across the railroad tracks. That resilience was tested again in April 1918, when a massive tornado leveled almost every home, business, and church in Aubrey. Miraculously, the entire population survived the storm without a single fatality. While these disasters required a total relocation of the town center and a massive rebuilding effort in 1918, the community established a pattern of rebuilding their infrastructure to meet the environmental reality. By the late 19th century, Aubrey found its first economic anchor in cotton. Fields surrounding the town were blanketed in the cash crop, supported by 3 local gins processing the daily harvests. Over the next few decades, the agricultural landscape shifted drastically. The Great Depression wiped out crop prices, and years of intensive farming left the local topsoil severely depleted. The final blow came in the form of the boll weevil. This insect targets and destroys cotton bolls, and its arrival decimated whatever crops managed to survive the poor soil conditions. The farmers had lost their primary source of income. To avoid total economic ruin, Aubrey needed an entirely different use for its land. Farmers utilized the sandy loam soil characteristic of the Cross Timbers region. This highly porous, granular soil offers very low physical resistance and excellent drainage, providing the perfect environment for crops like peanuts, which push underground to mature their fruit. Aubrey's farmers abandoned cotton and transitioned to peanuts. Within a few decades, the town rebuilt itself into a regional processing powerhouse. The scale of the operation grew massive. Facilities like the Woldert Peanut Mill were shelling and drying upwards of 3,000 tons of peanuts every single year. Because the crop required intense labor during harvesting, neighbors formed a tight-knit system, moving from field to pull the plants from the earth together. By aligning their production with the specific constraints of the soil, the town stabilized its economy and reinforced a community habit of working together during the intensive harvest seasons. Moving into the late 20th century, global agricultural markets shifted again, and the demand for local peanut processing slowly dried up. Aubrey needed another pivot. It turned out the exact same sandy loam that favored peanuts possessed a secondary property that was ideal for large animals. For horses, sandy loam acts like a natural shock absorber. When a heavy hoof strikes the ground, the loose soil compresses to absorb the kinetic energy. This reduces the strain on the animal's joints, while the porous structure quickly drains away standing water. This combination of cushioning and fast drainage creates an exceptionally safe surface for running and training expensive livestock. Professional horse breeders capitalized on this terrain. They bought up the old peanut farms and replaced them with the elite equestrian facilities seen today. A specific geological trait became a premium real estate asset. It attracted millions of dollars in investment and branded Aubrey as the affluent equestrian capital of Texas. Today, Aubrey bears little resemblance to the rural farming community of its past. It has transformed into a high-growth exurb on the northern edge of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. This chart tracks Aubrey's population between 2000 and 2020. The total held steady at roughly 1,500 residents at the start of the millennium, before curving into a sharp upward trend that crossed the 5,000 mark by 2020. This influx of new residents brought significant wealth and cultural diversification, turning the former railroad stop into a dense, modern suburb. Over 150 years, Aubrey endured devastating fires, catastrophic tornadoes, boll weevil infestations, and collapses in global crop markets. They survived each threat by continually reimagining what they could do with the ground beneath them. Today, the town's economic future is tied to performance horses and sprawling suburban estates. Yet every October, the community gathers for the annual Peanut Festival, a reminder that their identity is rooted in the humble dirt that built the town.